Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika, and coming up in the next 1 hour. Campaigning picks up pace for upcoming US presidential elections. Kamala Harris promises abortion rights, while Donald Trump urges voters to save America. Rehabilitation work underway at damaged bridge in Spain after devastating floods wreak havoc in eastern region of Valencia in Spain. Israel says it captured senior Hezbollah operative in Lebanon. Lebanese Prime Minister calls for probe. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar begins Australia visit with a focus on strengthening India-Australia bilateral ties. First up, let's begin with all the latest updates on US presidential polls 2024 as the race to the White House nears the finish line. Well, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaigned in North Carolina on the final weekend before the 5th of November polls. It was the fourth day in a row that the candidates campaigned in the same state. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump campaigned in both North Carolina, a key swing state, and Virginia on Saturday, where he reinforced his message on economy and immigration. Trump, at his final rally of the day in North Carolina, told the voters that the 5th of November election will be Liberation Day in America.
The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. On November 5th, 2024, this will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation.
Later, addressing a rally in Virginia, Salem, Trump said he ran for office to rescue the economy from obliteration. Trump also addressed trans issues and vowed to protect parents' rights in Virginia rally. North Carolina backed Trump in 2020 by a narrow margin of less than 1.5 percentage points and elected a Democratic governor on the same day, giving hope to both the parties. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris began her North Carolina rally by attacking Donald Trump, which she has increasingly done in the final days of the election campaigning. Harris at a rally zeroed in on women's reproductive rights, warning that Trump will ban abortion nationwide. Harris also pledged to lower health care costs and accused Donald Trump of wanting to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Earlier, campaigning in Atlanta, Harris said Trump would abuse his power if he returns to the White House.
Donald Trump is not done. He would ban abortion nationwide. He would restrict access to birth control. He would put IVF treatments at risk and, get this, force states to monitor women's pregnancies. Just Google Project 2025. Which still I can't believe they put in writing. And I think everyone here knows one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling her what to do. Not the government and not Donald Trump.
Now, U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has surpassed Republican Donald Trump in a new poll in Iowa. The poll of 808 likely voters who were surveyed between 28th and 31st of October has Harris leading Trump by 47% to 44% in Iowa. That has been trending deeply Republican in recent years. It is within the 3.4% point margin of error, but it marked a turnaround from a September Iowa poll that had Trump with a 4-point lead. Trump won Iowa in his past two presidential campaigns by more than 9 percentage points in 2016 and 8 points in 2020. More than 75 million Americans have already cast ballots, according to the election lab at the University of Florida, in a sign of voter enthusiasm. Now, with just 2 days to go for the election day of U.S. presidential polls, Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris are campaigning hard in a last-minute bid to woo the voters by making stop in battleground states. Take a look at DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh's report from Atlanta.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump campaigned in southern battleground states on Saturday, with Trump making stops in North Carolina and Virginia and Harris visiting Georgia and North Carolina. At a campaign stop in Gastonia, Trump stuck to his theme of immigration and border security, warning he would deport millions of immigrants if elected.
The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. On November 5th, 2024, this will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation.
North Carolina backed Trump in 2020 by a narrow margin of less than 1.5 percentage points and elected a Democratic governor on the same day, giving hope to both the parties. Canvassing for votes, Democratic presidential nominee Vice President Kamala Harris called on supporters in Atlanta to finally turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump. She focused over the issue of abortion and women's right to choose.
And ours is a fight for freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
President Biden, a Democrat, won Georgia by just 0.3 percentage points in 2020. Meanwhile, in Virginia, Trump pledged to save the U.S. economy from obliteration. In North Carolina, Harris promised to give everyone a seat at the table. On Saturday, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaigned in the key southern states. While Kamala Harris raised the issue of abortion in a big way, Donald Trump focused on immigration, illegal immigration and border security. It remains to be seen the stand of the voters on these critical issues and who they choose to be their next president. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Atlanta.
Well, age is no bar for public service and political ambition as well. My colleague Shubhendu caught up with one of the youngest candidates in the US elections, Ashwin Ramaswamy, who is running for Georgia State Senate. An Indian American, just 25 years of age, Ashwin talks about his roots, cybersecurity in elections and Trump-Harris contest.
Ashwin Ramaswamy, welcome to DD India.
Thanks for having me.
You're 25 years old. How did you decide to start so young and what is your focus in these elections?
I decided to start because I wanted to serve my community. I was born and brought up right here in Johns Creek, a suburb of Atlanta. My parents came here from South India, from Tamil Nadu in the early 90s. I worked in the federal government for a few years on cybersecurity and election security. And I realized last year that the best way for me to next serve my community is to come back home and to make sure that our state is investing in education, ensure we're passing gun safety laws, making sure everyone has access to healthcare. And that's why I decided to run.
What can you share about your experience of engaging with people politically?
People are not just thinking about the normal boundaries of politics.
Right.
They realize that I represent a new generation of people. And regardless of what party you're in, we need young people to step up and serve our community. Because I grew up here, there's a lot of connections with people in other communities too, because I went to school here. People know me. They say, oh, Ashwin went to school with my kids, or I was involved in a community organization. So second generation immigrants like me who were born and brought up in the United States are able to connect with these different communities and really make the change we want to see.
How potent are these threats of cyber attacks? And in the context of presidential elections, such a high-stake election. How resilient is the system?
What I did realize, though, after 2020 was our biggest threat to our elections is not just foreign hackers. It's actually domestic politicians lying about the results.
How close do you think the contest is going to be? And your take on what strengths and challenges do the candidates bring in to the contest?
I mean, I would say ultimately this election, it's very close. It's still a toss-up. But the momentum is on the Harris-Walz ticket. And the reason is because there's a choice being presented to the American people, whether it's Kamala Harris, who's representing the future, investing in our future, investing in education, healthcare, protecting our freedoms, whether it's reproductive healthcare, gun safety to protect children in schools. Down ballot candidates like me can turn out more people and get them engaged in the political process. And this is happening across the country. So long as we continue to do our work, we continue to do the right thing and tell the truth, I know that we will win.
Ashwin Ramaswamy, thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was Ashwin, one of the youngest candidates in these elections, talking about his candidature, key issues in focus, and of course the big contest, Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Atlanta.
Now, with the contest in the swing states very close between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, even a small percentage of votes can tip the balance. Indian Americans are present in substantial numbers in crucial swing states like Michigan, North Carolina and Pennsylvania, and they could significantly influence the election outcome. Community leaders are impressing upon the community to come out and vote in large numbers, as their vote could be crucial in deciding who wins the White House. DT India correspondent Amritpal Singh talked to Dr. K.A. Paul, an activist in Philadelphia who is close to both the parties. He explains on how Indians are in a fix in this presidential election.
I have with me Dr. K.A. Paul. He's an activist, an Indian American. What are you telling the Indian Americans, because you work closely with them in this election? What role do you see them playing?
India has an opportunity to make history. Number one, every Indian, 3 to 4 million voters in America, should come out and cast your vote and influence others who is not voting. Oh, my vote doesn't count. Remember, year 2000, George Bush won by 532 votes. And last two elections, Trump won in 2020 with only Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, 45,000 votes, even though 81 million were cast. And Biden won with these same 3 swing states. So casting your vote is the most important thing.
Which way are the Indians swinging, Dr. Paul, given that Kamala Harris has an Indian connection, but Donald Trump is also a friend of India?
Here it is. Donald Trump's vice president wife is from my hometown, Visakhapatnam. So I have relation there. And Donald is a good friend for years. But Kamala Harris is our half Indian sister. So that is why this time, for the first time in 1992, Bill Clinton, I'm not openly endorsing.
So is it a tough call for the Indians?
Very tough call. Why? Because people love Donald Trump because he loves India and he talks favorably and meets Prime Minister Modi many times and all that. But Kamala, I say, hey, I'm Indian. I count on your vote. So there is a saying, if you go front, if you go backwards, you're caught between in the hard rock.
Okay. So it's a tough call for the Indians. They are divided.
But Indians will make the difference between India and America relations. We got to play the most important role of our lifetime because India should lead.
What happens if there's not a clear winner? And what's your message to the Indian Americans and the Americans in general?
That is why I am calling for peace, fair and free elections. Because the Republicans think election is going to be rigged, like January 6, 2021. What we have seen at the Capitol. Democrats think there will be a terrible violence, worse than 2021 Trump time.
So that's what everybody's thinking here on everybody's mind is that what if there is not a clear verdict? Would it then go down to the wire? What sort of a situation would emerge then? With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And indeed, every vote counts. It's time to take a short break on DD India News Hour, but still to come on the other side. Moldovans go to the polls in crucial presidential runoff. Bolivia's government accuses demonstrators of terrorism. And Russia's military destroyed 19 Ukrainian drones overnight.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that quick break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now let's talk about the latest updates from Iran. Tensions continue to escalate in West Asia, with Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Al Khamenei vowing a response to Israeli airstrikes on Iran. According to a report in Axios, US has warned Iran against launching another attack on Israel, adding that Washington will not be able to restrain Israel if Tehran attacks once again. On the 26th of October, Israeli airstrikes hit military sites in Iran in retaliation to the 1st October Iranian rocket attacks on Israel.
The enemies, both the USA and the Zionist regime, should know that they will definitely receive a tooth-breaking response to what they are doing against Iran, the Iranian nation, and the resistance front.
Israel has captured a senior Hezbollah operative from the Lebanese coastal city of Batroun. According to the Israeli army, the operative serves as an expert in his field. On your screens is a CCTV footage now obtained by Reuters that purportedly shows Israeli naval forces capturing a person who's not been officially identified. Calling it the kidnapping of a Lebanese citizen, Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati has called for an investigation into the incident. The Israeli military said it had killed Jafar Khader Faour, a commander of Hezbollah's Nasir Brigade rocket unit in southern Lebanon. It added that he had been responsible for multiple attacks on Israel since October 2023. The IDF also released a footage showing what it said were airstrikes on multiple Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. And to discuss latest on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Akshay. Akshay, good evening. Now, what is the latest update on Israel's claim of capturing senior Hezbollah operative, as Lebanese officials continue to call it as a violation of UNSC Resolution 1701? Akshay.
Well, we do not have any clarification, Deepika. To be honest, the kind of naval raid that has been carried out, and as Lebanese authorities are calling it a kidnapping, but Israeli authorities are calling it capturing of an operative of Hezbollah who was involved in some special operations against Israel as well. Now, this was a special operation by the Israeli naval forces. They in fact have an expertise as far as these kind of naval raids are concerned. This has happened in the past as well. The secret agencies of Israel, especially Mossad, has been somewhat of an expert as far as these kind of naval raids are concerned. But when it comes to the whereabouts of this person who has been kidnapped are concerned, the Israeli authorities have not spoken about it as of now when it comes to the clarification on the purpose and the reason behind this kind of an operation that has been carried out in Lebanon. When we talk about this resolution of United Nations that you're talking about, it sort of is a violation according to the Lebanese government and the authorities because the resolution calls for disarmament of not just Hezbollah but also the Israeli armed forces from the border. It calls for pulling back of the Israeli forces from Lebanese borders. It also calls for de-escalation of these kind of operations. into each other's territory that can be seen as intrusive or aggressive, especially when it comes to abductions of any of the citizens of the country. So yes, there it is, and a kind of a violation that has happened. But whether the Israeli authorities are going to state or rather give a clarification for it or state a reason for it, that remains unknown as of now.
And also now this is being seen as another attempt to call for a stronger negotiation to end the war. But will it be successful in that form, in that line, or is it going to call for another planned response from Hezbollah? Akshay?
Well, from the responses that we have seen, Deepika, be it the starting of the conflict to the middle of the conflict, and now the escalation of conflict, especially the spillover that's taking place, the call for any kind of de-escalation is falling on deaf ears, unfortunately. We have seen that the kind of response that we are getting from both the sides, and now with larger nation involved in this particular conflict, we are talking about Iran. There are no signs of de-escalation as of now, but only escalation from what we are seeing, and from the point of view the world is viewing this conflict. Now, we just played out the bite of the Supreme Leader of Iran. He's saying that Iran will be giving a tooth-breaking response to the Israeli strikes. However, US saying that if Iran attacks again, then it won't be able to hold Israel back. So there it clearly goes. Any hopes of de-escalation clearly going right into the bin. And we cannot expect any kind of de-escalation coming in without the leaders actually making a strong case for it or a strong call for it. But here, both the sides, it seems that are looking to fulfill their objectives, whatever they have, when it comes to the war or the conflict that has been going on. So it remains highly unlikely that any de-escalation will be taking place with both Iran giving these kind of statements and Israel conducting these kind of naval operations in foreign land.
All right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and bringing us the latest on the current unfoldings which are happening between the two. Now, Russia's military destroyed 19 Ukrainian drones overnight, according to the Defense Ministry. The drones were mainly neutralized over the Rostov region, with smaller numbers intercepted in border regions of Belgorod and Bryansk. Meanwhile, a Russian drone attack triggered a fire in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. The attack came as Ukraine's top commander said that the country's forces are restraining one of Russia's most powerful offensives. And in response to North Korea's latest long-range missile test, South Korea, Japan and the United States on Sunday conducted a joint air drill involving a heavy bomber. The drill mobilized the USS P-1B bomber, South Korea's F-15K and KF-16 fighter jets and Japan's F-2 jets. The B-1B Lancer is a supersonic heavy bomber known for its high-speed performance with a payload of 34,000 kilograms of munitions, including both conventional and precision-guided weapons. The exercise took place 3 days after Pyongyang launched one of its most powerful and advanced solid-fueled intercontinental ballistic missiles that experts say could reach targets in the mainland US. Taiwan has detached 37 Chinese fighter jets, drones and other aircraft near its island on Sunday as Beijing carried out long-distance training flights. China has ramped up military activity around Taiwan in recent years as Beijing pressures Taipei to accept its claims of sovereignty over the island. 35 of Chinese aircraft were spotted crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait that separates mainland China and Taiwan and entered Taiwanese airspace on their way to the Western Pacific Ocean. Taiwan's military responded by deploying aircraft, naval vessels and shore-based missile systems. Now, days after torrential rain swept the eastern region of Valencia in Spain, cleanup and rescue efforts continued throughout Saturday. The historic flash floods in Spain have killed at least 214 people till now, and dozens were still unaccounted. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said the government would provide necessary resources. The government is sending 5,000 more army troops to help with the searches and cleanup, in addition to 2,500 soldiers already deployed. The tragedy is already Europe's worst flood-related disaster since the year 1967 that killed at least 500 people in Portugal. Now, frustration and anger among despairing Spain's residents continued to grow at the state's response on handling the devastating floods that had destroyed towns in eastern Spain. On Saturday, Spain Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez conceded the response that has been insufficient as he announced the deployment of 10,000 extra soldiers and police officers. According to the latest toll, Valencia's catastrophic floods had killed at least 214 and left dozens of them missing. Now, Moldovans headed to the polls on Sunday for a presidential election marked by allegations of foreign interference and the potential for Moscow to regain influence just as the country seeks closer ties with the European Union. Pro-European Union incumbent Maia Sandu, who has been steering Moldova away from Russia's influence, faces a challenge from Alexander Stonioglu, a former prosecutor general with support from the traditionally pro-Russian Socialist Party. The election's outcome is likely to shape the political landscape ahead of the parliamentary election scheduled for next summer. Now, clashes between the Bolivian authorities and former President of Bolivia, Evo Morales, continues to escalate as the Foreign Ministry said that supporters of Morales have detained at least 200 military personnel hostage in Chapare. This comes after Morales' supporters began blocking roads for weeks to prevent his arrest. Evo Morales has been accused of rape and human trafficking charges. On Friday, after Morales announced that he would undertake a hunger strike unless the government agreed to negotiations, urged his supporters to consider suspending the roadblocks. Morales and current president have gone from close allies to bitter rivals in recent months as they jockey for position ahead of next year's presidential election in Bolivia. In Bangladesh, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has called on the daily Amar Desh editor Mahmoudur Rahman to seek apology to the nation within the next 7 days following his controversial and baseless remarks about the organization. Addressing a press conference, ISKCON leaders expressed their concerns about Mahmoudur Rahman's remarks. The leaders alleged that Rahman's remarks have not only harmed ISKCON but also posed a threat to religious harmony, tolerance and social unity in Bangladesh. Meanwhile, Adani Power has given Bangladesh an ultimatum to settle an outstanding payment of nearly $850 million by the 7th of November or risk a complete halt of electricity supply in Bangladesh. The initial 31st October deadline was missed by Bangladesh's Power Development Board that cited a dollar shortage amid attempts to issue an LC through Krishi Bank. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands of citizens gathered for a night vigil in northern Serbia to mourn the death of 14 people due to railway station roof collapse. The incident happened on Friday at the main train station in the northern city of Novi Sad. Authorities declared Saturday as a national day of mourning. The Royal Armed Forces Air Base in Marrakesh, Morocco, hosted the 7th edition of the International Aviation and Space Exhibition titled Marrakesh Air Show 2024, highlighting Morocco's growing position in global aviation industry. Time to take a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. ISRO launches India's first analog space mission. And we'll get you a glimpse of how people celebrated Bhai Dooj in Ayodhya. And latest update on Shimla's air quality that impressed the tourists. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Deepika, and now it's time to quickly recap the top headlines of the hour. Campaigning picks up pace for upcoming US presidential elections. Kamala Harris promises abortion rights while Donald Trump urges voters to save America. Rehabilitation work underway at damaged bridge in Spain after devastating floods wreak havoc in eastern region of Valencia in Spain. Israel says it captured senior Hezbollah operative in Lebanon. Lebanese Prime Minister calls for probe. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar reaches Australia with a focus on strengthening India-Australia relationship. Now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar is on a 5-day visit to Australia and Singapore. External Affairs Minister reached Brisbane, where he interacted with the Indian community in Brisbane. Minister said that India and Australia share a long history in trade and economy.
Our relationship, in a way, has just begun. That there are immense possibilities that we have today. Treat these 10 years as a foundation. This is a foundation which all of you and all of us together have to build on. We see in every domain, the manner in which our defense collaboration has grown in the last decade has been really very impressive. There are a number of occasions where our military work together very closely, and the extent today of the cooperation is something we couldn't have even imagined 5-10 years ago.
Now, during the visit, Dr. Jaishankar will also co-chair the 15th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong in Canberra. He will also inaugurate India's 4th consulate in Brisbane. The minister will deliver the keynote address at the inaugural session of the 2nd Vaisina Down Under to be held in the Australian Parliament House. External Affairs Minister is also scheduled to have interactions with Australian leadership, parliamentarians, business community, media and think tanks. And on the second leg of the visit, External Affairs Minister will travel to Singapore for an official visit on the 8th of November, during which he will address the 8th Roundtable of ASEAN-India Network of Think Tanks. He will also meet the leadership of Singapore to review the close partnership between the two countries and explore avenues to further enhance the bilateral relationship. Moving on, New Delhi will host the Asian Buddhist Summit on the 5th and 6th of November, organized by India's Ministry of Culture in collaboration with the International Buddhist Confederation. Now, this will be the first Asian Buddhist Summit to be held in India. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, will attend as the chief guest of the Asian Buddhist Summit. The theme of this visit is Role of Buddha Dham in Strengthening Asia. The summit aligns with India's Act East policy, promoting collective and spiritual development across Asia. The Asian Buddhist Summit in New Delhi will feature a special exhibition called India as the Dham Setu, showcasing India's role as spiritual bridge across Asia. Now, several people have been injured in a grenade blast that took place on Sunday at a market area in Srinagar, which is the capital of the North Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Police officials said that terrorists lobbed a grenade in a busy market near TRC, resulting in injuries to several people. All of them have been immediately shifted to nearby hospital for treatment. All injured are stable as they've received few splinters. Soon after the incident, whole area has been cordoned off to nab the attackers. Meanwhile, Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah, in a social media post on X said, and I quote him, "Today's news of a grenade attack on innocent shoppers at the Sunday market in Srinagar is deeply disturbing. There can be no justification for targeting innocent civilians. The security apparatus must do everything possible to end this spurt of attacks at the earliest so that people can go about their lives without any fear," unquote. Moving on, Indian Space Research Organisation has started the country's first analog space mission at Leh in North India's Ladakh, where Space Agency will stimulate life in an interplanetary habitat. The move assumes significance as India is planning to send a human to the moon in near future. Analog space missions are field tests in locations on Earth that have physical similarities to the extreme space environments and play a significant role in problem solving for spaceflight research. Ladakh has been chosen for such a mission as the geographical feature of the area, which is dry and cold climate, barren land, high altitude terrain and extreme isolation are considered to closely resemble Martian and lunar landscapes. The Bharatiya Janata Party released its manifesto for the upcoming assembly elections in the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand, outlining its commitments to the state. Senior BJP leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the upcoming election in the state is not just the election to change the government, but an election to ensure the future of Jharkhand.
भाइयों बहनों, झारखंड का ये चुनाव न केवल सरकार बदलने का चुनाव है, झारखंड का ये चुनाव झारखंड का भविष्य सुनिश्चित करने का चुनाव है। झारखंड की महान जनता ने तय करना है कि आकंठ भ्रष्टाचार में डूबी हुई सरकार चाहिए या विकास के रास्ते पर मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में चलती हुई भाजपा सरकार चाहिए। बेरोजगारी से त्रस्त युवा, पेपर लीक से त्रस्त युवा आज भाजपा में आशा की दृष्टि से अपना भविष्य ढूंढ रहे हैं।
Now, following the release of the party manifesto, senior party leader Amit Shah held public rallies in Kachchila and Barkatta assembly constituencies of Jharkhand on Sunday. India's Union Minister of Railways, Ashwini Vaishnaw, said on Sunday that the Indian government has sanctioned 393 crore rupees for the renovation of Thrissur railway station in the southern Indian state of Kerala. The minister, who is on a one-day visit to the state to review various rail development projects, said that a total of 3,000 crore rupees has been allocated for the railway development projects in Kerala since the Narendra Modi government came into power since 2014. The railway minister was addressing the media after reception accorded to him at the Thrissur railway station.
I am very happy to announce that Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has sanctioned 393 crore rupees for development of the Thrissur station. 393 crore rupees for the complete redevelopment of Thrissur station. You will recall that 10 years ago, Kerala was getting only 370 crore rupees as budget allocation for development of railways. Now, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji is allocating 3,000 crore rupees for development of railways.
Central government has initiated an independent inquiry into the death of 10 jumbos in Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve and said preventive measures are being taken by the officials to avoid such incidents in the future. Referring to preliminary information shared by Madhya Pradesh's government, the ministry on Sunday said the death may be because of poisoning, but the final cause will only be ascertained after a thorough inquiry, detailed autopsy reports, results of histopathological and toxicological reports and other corroborative evidences. Earlier on Tuesday, patrolling staff at the Tiger Reserve initially found 4 elephants dead in the Salakhania beat of Kitoli and Pator core ranges. 6 other pachyderms were also found in a critical state. By Thursday, the death toll mounted to 10, of which 1 was male and the rest were females. Further, amongst the 10 dead elephants, 6 were juvenile, sub-adults and 4 were adults. Now, Delhi Air Quality Index continues to deteriorate as it crossed the 500 mark on Sunday, 2 days after Diwali. Even on Sunday morning, Delhiites woke up to a thick layer of smog as the air pollution level now lies in the alarming hazardous category in the national capital that is detrimental to the health of people living in Delhi and its adjoining areas. Shockingly, Delhi's air is getting worse every day despite all possible measures such as the Pradesh Response Action Plan, which is scrapped too. already being implemented in the national capital. The Commission for Air Quality Management ordered the implementation of Graded Response Action Plan in Delhi NCR on 21st of October after the overall air quality index dropped to the very poor category in the region. On the other hand, after Diwali celebrations, North Indian state of Himachal Pradesh has shown promising air quality results, with air quality index in Shimla remaining comfortably below 50. Tourists visiting the Queen of Hills, Shimla, are taking notice of the healthier environment, praising the fresh air, scenic beauty and cleanliness. The other cities across the Himalayan state also experienced normal to good levels. Environment experts are crediting a growing awareness of green Diwali practices and an increasing shift towards using green crackers for improvement in weather conditions. The Indian Meteorological Department predicts light thunderstorms across Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala and nearby regions today, that is Sunday. Andaman and Nicobar Islands may see similar weather by the 5th of November. A temperature drop of 2 to 3 degrees is expected over northwest and east India within 4 days. Delhi NCR are likely to face smog and shallow fog in the coming mornings and nights. Weather alerts are issued to caution the residents. Now, as India has recorded a 17.7% decline in tuberculosis incidence from 237 per lakh population in 2015 to 195 in 2023, now the decline of 8.3% it is. In its Global TB Report 2024, the World Health Organization has acknowledged the tremendous progress India has made in closing the gap of missed tuberculosis cases since 2015. In a social media post on X, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted the nation's achievement in reducing TB incidences. He said, and I quote him, "Commendable progress. The decline in TB incidence is an outcome of India's dedicated and innovative efforts. Through a collective spirit, we will keep working towards a TB-free India," unquote. India's Minister of State for Environment, Kirtivardhan Singh, launched the updated National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan at COP16 in Colombia. The updated biodiversity strategy emphasizes on whole-of-government and whole-of-society approach to tackle environmental challenges. Key focuses include ecosystem restoration, species recovery and community-led conservation efforts. The minister also highlighted plans to protect wetlands and sustainably manage coastal areas. The action plan aims at halting biodiversity loss by the year 2030 with a vision for harmony with nature by the year 2050. The updated document was officially released on the 30th of October. On the 3rd of November, we celebrate the International Day for Biosphere Reserves, highlighting efforts to foster a sustainable relationship with the nature. With 18 biosphere reserves, India contributes for a global impact in conservation and sustainability. TD India correspondent Taposh Bhattacharya takes us through this report. Take a look.
As each year passes, the urgency of addressing environmental issues becomes more apparent. On 3rd of November, International Day for Biosphere Reserves is celebrated for a sustainable, harmonious relationship with nature while preserving our world for future generations.
In the late 1960s, people with a foresight, with a vision, they realized that the way we are exploiting nature cannot continue at the same level that we are doing it. Man and the Biosphere Program, you can also call it the Human and the Biosphere Program, the MAP program of UNESCO. It was then established in 1971, and that also gave birth to the World Network of Biosphere Reserves.
There are 18 biosphere reserves in India. This year, the theme emphasizes the power of local action to inspire global change and highlights the crucial role each individual can play.
India has made very good progress in terms of biosphere reserve establishment. India is participating since 24 years, and since that time India has established one biosphere reserve on average every 2 years, so that's quite impressive. So India has a lot of potentialities. I'm an optimist. I would very much hope that by the end of the century that India would perhaps develop 100 biosphere reserves, taking the lead in the world. India can do it.
Biosphere reserves are organized into 3 primary zones: core, buffer and transition. Together, these areas work to conserve the landscape and the ecosystems while facilitating education, movement of people and research. They serve as living laboratories for sustainability. These reserves also play a key role in tackling climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide, helping to offset emissions. Beyond conservation, they contribute to sustainable development by fostering ecotourism and other environmental friendly initiatives that support local economies. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the country. Portals of Kedarnath temple closed for the winter season today. The portals were closed with Vedic rituals and religious traditions amidst chants of Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Baba Kedarnath and devotional tunes of the Indian Army Band. A large number of devotees gathered in the holy city of Ayodhya on Sunday to seek the blessings from saints and take a holy dip in the river Saryu on the occasion of Bhai Dooj, a festival to celebrate the bond of brothers and sisters. Time to take a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. All you need to know about India's new production record of iron ore. New Zealand registered yet another victory to complete 3-0 Test Series clean sweep against India. And Malvika Bansod to take on Denmark's Mia Bitchfeldt in the women's singles final of Hilo Open.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. And now, time to get you some business updates. Now, India's startup sector raised $12.2 billion in the first 10 months of 2024, surpassing last year's total funding. Homegrown startups surpassed $1 billion in funding again across 119 deals in the month of October. September saw the second highest funding with $1.63 billion, behind the peak of $1.92 billion registered in June. October alone saw over $1 billion secured across 119 deals, with $846.2 million from growth and late-stage funding, according to data by The Credible. Recently, the Indian government approved a 1,000 crore rupees venture capital fund to boost the space sector growth. India's National Mineral Development Corporation set a new production record in the month of October, with 4.07 million tons of iron ore produced and 4.03 million tons sold out. Now, this marks a 3.8% rise in production and a 17.15% increase in sales compared to October last year. With total production reaching 21.55 million tons this fiscal year, NMDC continues to meet growing demand for iron ore. Enhanced production planning and strong customer demand drove these gains, highlighting NMDC's focus on sustainable growth. And now it's time to get you all the action from the world of sports. New Zealand completed an unprecedented 3-0 series sweep in India as the Black Caps secured a 25-run victory in the third test in Mumbai. The hosts were dismissed for 121 on a tricky wicket on day 3 of the match. The last time India were blanked at home was back in the year 2000 in a 2-match series against South Africa. Rishabh Pant was the lone Indian batsman to show resistance as he made a sublime 64. Man of the match, Ajaz Patel, claimed 6 wickets for 57 runs, which is his second 5-wicket haul in the match. Fellow spinner Glenn Phillips took 3 wickets for 42. After the defeat, India have lost their top spot in the World Test Championship standings and dropped to second place now. Australia holds the top spot. In badminton, India's Malvika Bansod has marched into the finals of Hilo Open badminton tournament in Germany. Malvika Bansod will face Danish women Mia Blichfeldt in the title clash on Sunday. It will be Malvika's second ever final appearance on the Badminton World Federation World Tour. Earlier, she had finished as runners-up to PV Sindhu in Syed Modi International Tournament. Bansod secured stunning victory over Danish shuttler Julie Davol Jacobsen in the second semi-final. Bansod has been in good form this year. She won the Azerbaijan International in February and reached the US Open semi-finals in June. In archery, India's Atanu Das won bronze medal in men's recurve event at the Swiss Open archery competition in Lausanne city of Switzerland. Atanu's bronze proved to be India's only medal from the event, while Deepika Kumari and other Indian compound archers drew a plank. Atanu Das beat Tokyo Olympics champion Met Keseo of Turkey in the quarterfinals before losing in the semis to French archer Romain Fichet. In the medal contest, the Indian archer beat Switzerland's Thomas Rufer by 6-4 to land on the podium. In boxing, India clinched 3 gold and as many silver medals on the final day of the Under-19 World Boxing Championship in Colorado of the United States. In the female 65 kg weight category, Parthavi Grewal crowns the Netherlands' Alia Hopma in the finals to clinch the gold medal. Vanshika Goswami emerged triumphant in the female 80+ weight category final against Germany's Victoria Gart. Meanwhile, Hemant Sangwan became India's only gold medalist in men's segment of the final day. India's 19-member boxing contingent wrapped up their campaign after winning 17 medals. It included 4 gold, 8 silver and 5 bronze. And England secured a series-levelling victory in the second ODI against West Indies in Antigua on Saturday on the back of Liam Livingstone's maiden ODI 100. Playing a captain's knock, Livingstone scripted England's chase of 329, which is the second highest in ODI cricket in Caribbean. England headed into the match after losing the first ODI by 8 wickets. However, spirited batting effort led by their stand-in captain Livingstone helped England return things around and keep the series alive until the deciding game scheduled for Wednesday in Barbados. In tennis, third seed Alexander Zverev is all set to face home favourite Hugo Humbert in the Paris Masters final. Zverev outclassed former champion Holger Rune in the semi-finals and returned to the final after a gap of 4 years. Zverev is poised to leapfrog Carlos Alcaraz into second position in the world rankings ahead of this month's season final in Turin. In another semi-final, Humbert advanced to the final with victory over 2018 champion Karen Khachanov. Earlier, the 26-year-old Frenchman had stunned world number 2 and 4-time Grand Slam winner Carlos Alcaraz in the round of 16. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika Mehta, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.